Hey, this is Dave Cornelison with CODERS.
CODERS from Missouri State University presents Spotlights.
With me is Jan Everett. And what district are you from? And talk a little bit about what you teach.
I am from the Shellknob School District, and I'm actually a music teacher.
Music teacher, great.
Yeah.
I love music. And Andrew, one of our team members, is a musician.
Yes,
So,
he is.
how have you thought, when you got brought into this, how did that happen? Did you see this? Did a principal see this? What exactly happened?
Actually, my principal saw this, and she asked me if I would be interested, and I've always been kind of a little closet tech geek.
Right?
And so I was like, yeah, that would be great. And so she signed myself and another one of my colleagues up, and I really wasn't sure what to expect, but it's been a great week.
Now, what do you think, if you look at it and you think about it, what kinds of things jump out that can be integrated with music in the most direct way, do you think, so far?
So far, well, the things that came to mind immediately, I do some project-based learning with my 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and we do a unit on science of sound.
Right?
So that's an easy place to plug
Sure,
in.
sure.
And also, we do a unit on scoring for animation,
Right, that'll be great.
which, we do the part where we add the sounds, the Foley sounds, and the music. But with this coding class and with the coding knowledge that I now have, I can also add the element of them being able to actually code a simple animation
Sure,
so
sure.
that the whole project
Right.
becomes theirs.
So they can make some sort of an animation with one of the coding projects.
Right.
And by doing so, they're learning coding principles, and then you'll have them score it or something
Exactly.
like that. Now, what grades do you go through? The entire gamut? Are you?
We are a K-8 district, and I teach them all.
Okay. So if you look at like third graders, because our project is tuned towards 3rd through 8th grade primarily right now. If you look at third graders, for example, what kinds of things are you going to try to teach them when you're teaching music in general? So what are they getting?
So we do talk, we begin talking about vibration and sound and how that applies to pitch and duration
Right.
and what affects that, the thickness of the string, the length of the string.
Right.
So actually, a partner of mine during this week, we came up with a coding project that actually was a visual to show them, if the string is this thick, then
Right.
this is what happens. And
Right.
so, giving some introductory coding
Sure.
to give an example of what they've learned.
Now, do you think that you'll be able to go back there and work with some teachers and brainstorm with them? So let's say, what's the most likely thing? The science teacher.
Right.
So now you've got a science teacher, or is there going to be a specific science teacher, or will it be a 3rd grade teacher who's teaching science?
In kindergarten through 5th, it will be a classroom teacher that's teaching science.
So it seems like, have you thought about ways that you could conceivably go to them and say, we can have a direct overlap between something you do and something I do?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. There's been several things that have come to mind, how we could overlap, how I could, give them some of the basic knowledge that I've gained this week in order to, do part of the activity in their classroom and part of the activity in my classroom and really tie things together.
Good. And if you were to think about the most difficult part of this that you think is going forward, what do you think is going to be the most difficult part?
Probably getting my students to
Right.
think beyond the box.
Right.
Because I've had to think beyond the box this week.
Sure.
To say, okay, well, how can I use that? For example, we did some experiments with electricity this afternoon.
Yeah.
And, how can I apply that to what goes on in my room? And so I've got some ideas going. And so getting them to think that way, that science doesn't just happen, coding doesn't just happen, tech doesn't just happen out here, it also happens in my classroom.
Well, as a suggestion, I would say for 8th graders, certainly you could say, how does a guitar pickup work?
Right.
And a guitar pickup is a vibrating string that has some magnetic properties to it, at least a little bit, vibrating amongst a magnet and a coil of wire.
Right.
And from that, it produces an electric signal, just exactly like we discussed. That directly ties into the things we talked about in class. So there's a great crossover right there.
All right, that's an excellent idea.
And they would really be excited. You might want to know that many early rock and roll musicians, they wrapped their own pickups because they wanted them to be just the way they wanted them.
That's
So you
awesome.
could actually make a pickup yourself.
And that would be a great activity for my students.
It's pretty easy, actually.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that maybe as a lesson plan.
Definitely. That'd be a great lesson plan.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it.